Hi everyone, this is Carolyn, and today we're going to do a tutorial on 8 ways to use a stencil in your Bible journaling. The first way, I've got the stencil from Ranger Ink, and the first way is to trace. So you can be in the margins of your Bible and just trace the stencil. And this is a micron pen. Use any kind of pen you want. And after you've traced it, you could go in there with like some colored pencils or even some watercolor pencils and just decorate what you've traced. That is the first way to use a stencil in Bible journaling. The second way to use a stencil in Bible journaling is to just use your Distress ink. You'll see in many of my videos that I tape down the stencil with washi tape so that it doesn't move. And then I just go in with my Distress Oxide or Distress ink and just brush over the stencil. It's just such an easy way to add a background layer to your Bible journaling page. And there we go. That's the second way to use a stencil in your Bible journaling. The third way to use a stencil in your Bible journaling is use the ink blending, but don't use the whole stencil. Just put it in, and you guys have seen this stencil in so many of my videos. I love this script stencil. To me, it stands for prayers and talking to God. So we're just gonna go like this, but we're not gonna do the whole stencil. We're just gonna put a little bit of it right there, a little bit over here, maybe a little bit here. And then you could take another stencil. Let me see. You could take another stencil and another color. And then you could just go right over the top of that and just move it around the page and put a flower here and a flower there. There. And then that leaves room for you to put some of your own writing, some ephemera, journaling cards. So that is the third way to use a stencil in Bible journaling. So the fourth way to use a sponge in Bible journaling is with acrylic paint. But when I use acrylic paint, I use a sponge. So I'll go in and I'll put this on, and then we'll just pat the stencil with the acrylic paint sponge. There. And then we'll lift that off of there. And there you go. So the fourth way to use a stencil in Bible journaling is with acrylic paint and a sponge. So the fifth way to use a stencil in your Bible journaling is with some texture paste. But let's see, you can add, if you wanted to, this is Distress Crackle paste. There's also just texture paste from Ranger ink. But if you wanted to, you could put this onto the palette and just mix a little bit of acrylic paint in it, and you could color it. Or else you could just do it like this. This is a plastic palette knife, and I find it easiest to rub the texture paste on with these. So you can just scrape right ahead. So you can just add this over, actually we'll do a little bit of both. So we'll just do this over the top like this. And when you do this on a stencil, you want to wash it right away after you lift it up so it doesn't dry on there. So we'll take a little bit of texture paste as well, and we'll give it a little color. You can color it with Distress ink, you can color it with acrylic paint. Just mix that in. And then pick it up. And it's almost like spreading butter. And when this dries, it will have the texture, but it also will have a crackle effect. So that's really cool. I'm gonna lift this up. And then I'm actually gonna give this a dry so I can show you how to use this part. Okay, so this is pretty much dry, and you can see how the one we've colored, it's got the crackle, it's got the color in it. And then we've got the clear. But what we can do when we got the clear, is we can take some Distress Oxide. Let's see. I use different brushes for the same, I use one brush for one color, just so I don't mix my inks. You can go right over the top of that. So you can do a texture and get texture with color on the page, or you can have color on the background and color the texture and just have it right in there, or have it just come through there. All right, so that is the 5th way to use a stencil in Bible journaling. I've got this stencil from Ranger ink, and it's a layering stencil. And what a layering stencil does is you do one layer of stencil, and then you can do another layer. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you, we're gonna do purple stars. So we're gonna do one layer of just purple background stars. So this is using a layering stencil. Oh, I didn't do the washi tape. It's using a layering stencil, but also, so this is the 6th way to use a stencil in Bible journaling, is with stencil butter. And I got these from, I believe I got this from scrapbook.com. And you see how it's colored and kind of like the texture paste, but kind of a slightly different texture. And you just spread it on the same as you would a texture paste. And we're spreading it right over the top of that other layer that we've done. Undo the washi tape. So there we go. That is the 6th way to use a stencil in Bible journaling. You can layer it. You can use stencil butter. And I'll put all of these in the description where I got them. Here's another stencil I got from Ranger Ink, and this is just a fun pattern. So the 7th way to use a stencil in your Bible journaling is to use some ink spray. And this I also got from Ranger Ink. Just gonna spray it. And lift that stencil up. And there we go. You see, each of these techniques leaves kind of just a different pattern, a different media, and they're all beautiful. So that's the 7th way. For the 8th way to use a stencil in Bible journaling, I'm gonna ink up this page with Distress Oxide in a brush. So I've got my ink on there. We'll use this stencil. We'll just put this right here. And this is just filled with water. It's just a spray bottle full of water. We're gonna go in and spritz it. Going to take that off. And you'll see very faintly it has left an impression of the stencil. So if you wanted to, I don't know if you could see that very well or not on the camera. I'll kind of tip it a little bit. But it's just a very faint background of the stencil. So there you have it, 8 ways to use a stencil in your Bible journaling. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more Bible journaling videos.